It is December 30th in the NBA, and I'm back with my 3 best picks of the day, plus 4 other leans that I considered tonight. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot. And let's take a quick recap from yesterday, another winning day for the Calling Our Shot community. Now, our best bet of the day, Miles Turner, under 9.5 rebounds. Yeah, it was a no-sweat bet. You could have taken an 8.5, 6.5, 5.5. He ends up with 5 rebounds. Now, Desmond Bane, opposite of that. Complete sweat bet. Rest in peace to all the 20.5 bettors for Desmond Bane, but he hits 2 free throws with 5 seconds remaining to land on 20 on the dot. Zach LaVine misses on the hook due to the blowout. We added 2 plays on Twitter, and we added them and talked about them in the live stream. Luka Garza, he goes 1 for 10 from the field, but Karis LeVert picks it up, and he has an absolute great game for the Pacers. Either way, another profitable day for the Calling Our Shot community. If you are new to the channel, consider clicking that subscribe button down below. 100% free, and we appreciate everyone that wants to join the community. We are less than, I believe, 400 subscribers away from 18,000. We're trying to see if we can hit that before 2022. We'd be absolutely insane. We appreciate everyone that keeps joining the community day in and day out. Yes, I'm a little under the weather, but the show must go on for you guys. Now, also drop a like on the video, share it with a friend if you want. Here are my last 3 quick notes. Number 1, the podcast is live. Logan and I talked about NFL Week 17, our Super Bowl favorites, and the college football playoff, which is on tomorrow. And speaking of college football playoff, number 2, Logan's best bets for college football playoff will be live later tonight, I believe 9 p.m. Eastern time. He already recorded it, so click that bell so you don't miss out on that video. And Logan, he's limited his plays in the bowl season, but he is 1-0 on the bowl season, and it was a 2-unit winner. So make sure you check that out. And number 3, I believe number 3, Caesars Sportsbook is currently offering a promo where I think it goes through January 19th, but if you use the link in the description and you, I think, bet like $100 in the NBA, that you'll get a free NBA jersey. So a pretty cool promo if you want to take advantage of it. The link is down below. Now, today, let's talk about the NBA. We only have 4 games on today, so I gotta remind people, do not force a ton of bets today. There's a reason I only have 3. Some days we like to do 4 or 5. Do not force a lot. I mean, there are plays, and I'll talk about them at the end of the video, that I like, but just not going to play. No need to force anything. If you lost money yesterday, that's okay. Let's build back up that bankroll. Let's not try to force too much today. I'll start with my best bet of the day, the process. Joel Embiid, over 26.5 points, minus 115. Now, after missing a couple games earlier this season, Embiid really starting to come into form, and he's showing people seem to have forgotten what he did last year, averaging 28.5 points per game. And only this year he's only averaging 26 points per game in 23 games. Now, we talked about him earlier this season. He was really struggling shooting the ball. I think he was averaging a career low field goal percentage, but he's kind of creeping that back up to where he shot above 51% last year. I think he's right around 47 this year. But one of the best parts about Joel Embiid is he gets to the free throw line. We know we've talked about a lot of guys on this channel that have struggled to get to the free throw line. Joel Embiid is not that. He's averaging over 10 free throws a game. The best part about that, he's an above 80% free throw shooter. So these are normally some free and easy points, which helps him get and hit these overs. Now in the last 5 games, here's Joel Embiid's point totals. 36, 36, 23, 41, and 32 points, easily crushing this line in 4 of the past 5 games. Now, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, who we will be taking on. It's a big matchup in Brooklyn, so you know Joel Embiid wants to show up for these matchups, and they currently have the 5th-rated defense in the NBA. A pretty good defense, in my opinion. And they do have some guys returning from health and safety protocols, including LaMarcus Aldridge. I believe Nicholas Claxton's been playing this whole time, but we look at the guys that will be guarding Embiid, likely going to be LaMarcus Aldridge and Nicholas Claxton. If they put Aldridge on him, sign me up, because that is a complete mismatch. But I would imagine Nicholas Claxton will be the main guy on Joel Embiid tonight, and I can't blame him, because Claxton is a pretty good defender, but what Claxton is good at, he's also good at fouling. And like we already talked about, Embiid, one of the best at drawing fouls in the NBA. Now, my last note is we got to talk about Embiid's performance versus the Brooklyn Nets, and let's talk about it. These 2 teams just played 2 weeks ago. Embiid, 32 points, so hitting this over pretty easily. But here's his last 9 games versus the Brooklyn Nets. 32, which was 2 weeks ago, 19, 39, 33, 20, 39, 39, 33, and 32 points, easily cashing this in 7 of the past 9 games. Obviously, these 2 teams are a little bit different from all those 9 matchups, but still, it's a big matchup against the Brooklyn Nets, and I think Embiid will show up and show out. So I'm going to trust the process, go with Joel Embiid over 26.5 points. Moving on to my second pick of the day. It's an over-under. We don't do a lot of these, but Cavs versus Wizards, taking the under, 213.5 points. Now, let's talk about both sides of these teams. Now, the Cavaliers, let's be honest, they've been one of the cooler stories in the NBA this season. A team that people really expected to be one of the worst in the NBA, contending for that #1 draft pick, which they always seem to get lucky to get. But they've really turned a lot of those haters into supporters, because this team has really outshone what people kind of expected from them. They're currently the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're 20-14 overall, and they went on a stretch where they covered 14 straight games. They were an absolute wagon. But sadly, with great news comes bad news, and they just lost Ricky Rubio, their starting point guard slash sixth man of the year, off the bench to a torn ACL, out for the season. A rough break, because I'd argue Rubio was in contention for that sixth man of the year award. He was probably one of only two guys that had a chance of winning it, the other guy being Tyler Hero. But Rubio was playing exceptionally well. That showed exactly in his last game when he did get injured, having 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists. The man was absolutely killing it this season. So we look at it, now the Cavs are down him. They're also obviously down Colin Sexton, but they're also without Darius Garland. So he was in health and safety protocol. So to summarize, well, they don't have a point guard. So that's why I'm leaning towards the under for this one. Now, we talked about the Wizards, also a team that had a great start to the season. They were 15-10, but then they went on a bad streak, losing 7 of their last 10 games, sitting right at 500, 17-17 on the year. And sure, you could chalk up several of those losses to health and safety protocols. They really haven't had a lot of guys. Now, they should be getting some of those guys back today, but I still believe they can play some defense. They don't necessarily have the best defense in the NBA, but I think given the matchup, I think we should see a lot of isolation ball from the Cavs. They really, like I said, they don't have a point guard. I don't even know who they're going to start at point, but I think they will go under in this one. Now, we look at it. These two teams have played twice this season. One of the game's final score 94-97. The other one was 116-101. But you look at the game in which they went over, you get the Cavs got 32 points from Darius Garland, 28 from Jarrett Allen. So all things considered, I know Garland's out. Jarrett Allen is questionable, but he's been out due to health and safety protocols. We've seen guys struggle coming off of that. And you think about all the easy buckets the Cavs get, it's from these point guards, setting them up easily for easy layups, dunks, and whatnot. So today I expect a lot of isolation ball. I'm going to lead to longer possessions and some missed shots. So I'll take the under 213.5 points. Now let's move on to my last play of the day. Wendell Carter Jr. under 1.5 3-pointers, minus 118 on FanDuel. So I won't lie to you. We have not had a ton of success on the season taking unders for 3-pointers. But normally we're taking under 0.5, which I feel like they're jinxed from the start. But this under gives us a little cushion for when he hits a 3-pointer in the first minute of the game. All joking aside, though, we look at Wendell Carter Jr. He plays for the Magic. Today they're taking on the Bucks. And these two teams just played a couple nights ago, and Wendell did hit his over. So he hit 2 threes, but he shot 7 of them, making just 2 of those 7 shots, 28% from the field. Now, normally attempts, I believe, his average is 3.8, so normally around 3 to 4, and dating back to over his last 19 games. So dating back all the way to, I believe, November 17th, for his last 19, he's gone under in 14 of them. So that's 74% of the time, only gone over in 5 of those games. Now, the biggest statistic I can give to you for this one is that over that same time span, he's never had 2 threes in back-to-back games. So obviously, he just hit the over against the Bucks. So that would mean he'd likely have to go under today. Now, like I said, the Bucks defense is hit or miss this season. It depends really if they're trying. Now, last game, they really let the Magic get back into that game after being up like 29 points at halftime. But the Bucks defense is an interesting one because they allow the 7th lowest field 3-point percentage, but they allow the 3rd most NBA or 3-point makes in the NBA. So maybe the volume is what lowers the percentage, but either way, Wendell is only a 34% 3-point shooter. I'll take my chances with the guy I don't necessarily consider to be one of the best shooters in the NBA, and I expect the Bucks to hunker down on defense. Like I said, they let the Magic get back into that game a couple nights ago, I believe, on like Tuesday. So I'm riding with that. Those are my 3 official plays. But let's talk about a couple other things I consider. Now, the first one, 2 Orlando Magic guys. Gary Harris over 13.5 points and Franz Wagner over 18.5 points. Now, you look at Gary Harris. I mean, this guy that has been hitting this over, I think he hit it in like 5 straight games. In the last game, he only scored 13 points, but I believe he had 13 early on in the 3rd quarter. So he just didn't score another point. I think he could have gotten that done. He did miss a free throw, which would have put him over the edge. But we look at it, he's been pretty dominant without Cole Anthony, and he's shooting a bunch. And really the only reason he didn't get it is because it was the Franz Wagner show. Franz had like 38 points, which is why I'm considering his over today. Likely won't play it because you just never know with him. He's a rookie. But hard to bet against him because he's really been pretty good for the Orlando Magic, especially because they're out so many people. They really need other guys to score. Now, another one, Jokic, under 27.5 points. Now, it's a risky one. Now, he did go under a couple nights ago against the Warriors, and I think the stat of the day, he's never hit this over versus the Golden State Warriors ever in his career. So I do like the under for this one, just probably won't play it because I don't want to force too many bets into that game. And the last one, Tobias Harris over 29.5 PRAs. He normally steps up, and when they're playing big competition like a Kevin Durant, and he had a triple-double in their last game. So I think Tobias Harris has a good chance to get it going today. You look at the Sixers, they really don't have a lot of guys going active. I mean, they really don't have a lot of scorers out there. It's normally just Joel Embiid, Seth Curry's decent, Tyrese Maxey's been in a slump, but Tobias Harris is the number 2 option on that team. So I won't play any of these. This is just kind of me showing you that I like a bunch of plays on the slate, just don't want to force anything. So I'll go with those 3 official bets. We're talking Wendell Carter Jr. under 1.5 threes. We obviously had the under 213.5 in the Cavs-Wizards game, and the best bet of the day, Joel Embiid, the process, over 26.5 points. I apologize, I'm a little bit sick, but we're going to keep going. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, college football playoff video will be out live later today, and I'll have the podcast linked on the screen. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been Austin. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.